Welcome back to Toy Art. My name is Zach Kinsella. I'm your host. And before we even get into it, let's talk about subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and then also hit a like. Give it a like, and most importantly, give it a share. And with that, let's get into it. So today I'm going to be talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, is the one true sport that is professional wrestling. That's right. We're bringing in some wrestle talk, finally. I've only done one other wrestling video, and it didn't do too well, but that's okay, because I'm going to keep talking about wrestling no matter what. It's just like my real life, baby. So, today, who are we talking about? We are talking about... Maybe. Good grievy. We are talking about Mr. Brodie Lee from Jazzware, AEW. And I have been a lifelong professional wrestling fan. And one thing I really want to do is my first AEW figure is, I waited a while to do this because they have had a good year or so of figures, 2 years now of figures, right? However, there wasn't one that really, stood out to me. And it wasn't until, this one was announced as being released that I really wanted to do something about it. Unfortunately, Mr. Brodie Lee, also known as John Huber in his real life, lost his fight with a lung disease in December of 2020. And he had just debuted for AEW that previous spring. Right when the pandemic started, he was a big part of AEW on all their televised shows with no crowds. Which, if you are not a wrestling fan, if you can't imagine wrestling being so loud and crazy, it's all dependent on the fans. And with no fans there, it was a weird time to be alive, that's for sure. So, with that being said, I really wanted this to be the first AEW figure that I put out there. I love the TNT title, but I'm not going to spoil the whole review for you. We'll get on into it here. So, let's talk about the art and design of Mr. Brodie Lee. Cool, so here we are with Mr. Brodie Lee. Let's bring him forward here so you can see. I'm going to do what I usually do on this Bad Man Jam. I'm going to do a turnaround, do some close-ups, we'll talk paint, and then we'll wrap it up here. So, front, side, back, side again. This is my first time talking about an AEW Jazzwares figure. And what I really kind of dig about this one is that it's a really, what I consider would be a really good likeness in the sculpt. And hit or miss, honestly. And I'm already pretty particular about which wrestlers I get, mostly because I don't want a monstrous wrestling collection like I used to have. I'm just grabbing some favorites here and there, but AEW's line doesn't use that I know of. I'm not sure if they use a real scan technology or what, but it feels like my kind of artwork, whereas it's here and there, yes, I do get a good likeness, but it's more about the energy of the piece than making it look like them per se. And that's why I'm a cartoonist and not a realist. So that's a little bit of a difference here, and I feel like that's where Jazzwares lives with their AEW figures. Some of them are pretty good likenesses, some of them are not. Some of them are more of a cartoonish likeness. And I like it sometimes I don't. I didn't pick up the FTR set, who I'm a huge fan of, simply because I didn't feel like it was a good likeness of them. I was like, it looks a little too cartoony, almost like they had kawaii anime eyes. So that was a big deal breaker for me, which is not, because I'm a huge anime fan. So the opposite, I think, can be said here with the sculpt of Brodie Lee. Let's bring him close up. You can see his face. That looks like Brodie Lee, John Huber. It's a great likeness. The eyes aren't too large. He looks serious. He's ready for business and not gonna mess around. As you go further down, you can see they gave him some great chest hair, and it just didn't stop right in this area here. It kind of peeks out, ekes out over the sides. And wrestlers don't traditionally have a whole lot of body hair. Even up through today, there's guys that just shave it all down, smooth as butter, right? So with these guys, that's not that's not the case. They didn't give him any back hair, so that's nice. So no one wants to see back hair, I feel like. But like, he's a burly dude. The only place I think they missed out on that was really with the arms. And this is a thing I have with every wrestling figure, is that like, not only that, but the wristbands are always just kind of painted on. There's no texture to them, which is kind of a drag. However, that TNT title looks amazing. And not to be like too much of a Debbie Downer, I really wish they would do more with this belt to bring back the prestige it had in the early beginnings of AEW. You know, a little backstory is that, like, you know, he debuted on one of the first shows of the pandemic where there were no crowds, and it was so cool to have him show up as this, like, he's a, you know, the Dark Order is this mythical cult at that time. And so, like, they were like, we have a higher power, and you're like, I hope this doesn't suck. So he was the head of that Dark Order. And when he came out, man, it was so cool. And then he won this belt from Cody Rhodes at the time. And man, it felt like, no, it was a huge battle between those two. I mean, back and forth and back and forth. It was so cool. They had like a collar match. It was bonkers. And really, you know, just to see him pay tribute here with that, so cool. So turning around here, he's got his Dark Order symbol on the back here. He's got all that information down the legs. The articulation's great. The sculpting on the pants is what really gets me. Is it's like, man, they really, like, you know, they have that boot cut down, I think, and that's really cool. There's not a whole lot going on with the boots. You can't really see them that well, but they are just like wrestling shoes. Nothing else on there. And you can see on the side there, Brodie Lee backing around. Like, I think like the paint and the sculpting together, like all that comes together so well in this piece. He's a fantastic wrestling figure, and you should just, you know, if you're into wrestling, go grab this. What are you waiting for? One of the things to talk about, like, between the paint and the sculpting, is that they have some kind of ratchet system in here to make them stop from going loose, and they also like feel like a nice weighted plastic. And those are two things with the sculpt that really pop for me. Is it's like he's not going to be, you know, loose anytime soon. Got a nice full range of motion here. Double jointed knees, double jointed arms. He is a really nice deluxe figure. And as for the paint, like I said, I think they just knocked it out of the park. There's not a whole lot to do with, you know, like I said, I wish there was some more painting for the arms. I wish there was some more painting for the chest hair around the rest of the body. But like, the definition is just fine. Like, he's a great. He's not a big tanned wrestler or anything like that. So he was not like I said, he was like in phenomenal shape, just not like an over muscled roidy guy. Like, he was, you know, he's a big deal, a big man, and he had lost a lot of weight over the years, getting into some phenomenal shape. And this figure really shows that off. He's got his little papers here. Papers! So, really, I think this is like this Dark Order. Really, I think Brodie Lee's figure came out looking phenomenal. And it's a wonderful tribute. There's a couple other ones. There's one out there on ringside, I think, with -1, his son. You know, he left behind 2 wonderful boys, and I think this is a great this is a great figure to keep that legacy alive, not only for him, but for us as wrestling fans and action figure fans. So if you find him, like I said, I think you should pick him up. He's pretty awesome. The paint detailing has been fantastic. The sculpt is pretty amazing too. And that's really my thoughts on Mr. Brodie Lee. So like I said, first AEW figure, first Jazzware's figure, the goods, bads. There's not really like bad stuff. There's just small critiques, I think. And I think these are great figures, honestly, for the price and for like the amount of posability in every one of their figures. Nice stuff. So I'm looking. There's some more that they just got announced that I'm really looking forward to. Like I said in the video earlier, I'm pretty picky about the figures that I get. So that's that. Again, give me a like, give me a comment. Tell me who some of your favorite wrestling figures or wrestlers are in the comments below. Let's talk some wrestling. And if you have a wrestling fan in your life and they're on the edge about getting some figures, share this video with them. They'll love it. I swear. So, thanks for hanging out with me in Toy Art. Until the next time, have a great one.